As we watch Kev swim, we can see from his push and glide that his general body position is okay in the water. His head, if anything, is a little bit high, probably looking just a little bit too far forward rather than looking down towards the bottom of the pool. What you can also see is we're concentrating on the body position. You can see that his hips is getting a fair amount of rotation, and his feet, although a little bit low in the water, they are okay, and they're not something that concerns me a huge amount at the moment. What we possibly need to do with his leg kick is just work on pointy toes and floppy ankles and making sure that we're actually getting a full leg kick from the hip. What does worry me a little bit more is Kevin's arm action. Looking at his arms going into the water, his right hand, the arm nearest to us as we speak now, is going in quite smoothly, but then he's dropping his elbow and pulling the water back rather than getting his elbow nice and high and keeping his hand pointing down towards the bottom of the pool and driving the water back. He's pulling the water back. It's even more of a case with his left arm, which is now nearest to us. As you can see, his hand goes into the water, it skims along the surface, and his hand is actually higher than his elbow. And that means as he starts to pull, he pulls with his bicep, and rather than pushing the water back, he's just pulling his arm through the water and not actually catching the water at all. Also, looking at Kevin's breathing, you can see that he is breathing every 3, but it is quite explosive. So what I mean by that is he's not breathing continuously out as he's swimming along. What he's doing is holding his breath, explosively letting it go towards the end of the stroke, grabbing a quick breath and then putting his face back in the water. What that does is makes your breath very short and sends you hypoxic, which makes it very hard to maintain a stroke whilst you're swimming. What we're going to do now is look at Kev swimming underneath the water, and you'll see what his arms do, and he drops the elbow as soon as he starts. There's no real catch with the stroke. His hands go into the water flat, his elbow is below the arm and below the wrist, and he's not really got any drive, and his left hand, as you look at it there, actually looks quite limp. It's almost like a piece of cooked spaghetti, and what we actually want to do is make that hard and firm so it can drive the water back from where it's come from. And it's the same on the other arm. If you look at the right arm that we're looking at now, he's not really, it's better than the other one, but he's not really catching the water. He's just pulling his arms straight back, and he's not really starting to stroke until his arm's almost vertical in the water. Watching him push and glide, you can see we do get quite a nice streamline, but his hands are pointing up. That's to get him to the surface just a little bit too quick. And you can see that his hand, he's not pulling the water at all, he's not catching the water. And this is where Kev could really work on using the smiley face on the palm of his hand. Put the smiley face on the palm of your hand, get your fingers into the water, point them down towards the bottom of the pool, and then show that smiley face to the person behind you for as long as you possibly can throughout the stroke. What is positive with Kev's stroke is we are getting some hip rotation, and we are breathing every 3, although he's immediately gone and breathed every 2, but there we go, he's breathing every 3. What we can also see is that Kev's not really getting any use of his back muscles as he's using this arm, and that's because his elbow is just too low, and he bends his elbow and starts the recovery far too early in the stroke. But we can build on that, and what we've done now is actually have a look at Kev's stroke, made some alterations, and this is what we've ended up with after just about half an hour. And we've really slowed Kevin down, and you look at his left hand, it's going into the water, and it's a lot smoother, it's a lot more precise, if you like. His head's breathing every 3, and what we're also doing, we've still got the problem with the explosive breathing, but we can continue to see it, and you can see as his hand goes into the water, he's actually got his fingers pointing down towards the bottom of the pool. That's so much better, it's so much more relaxed. Now, to solve the problem of the explosive breathing, what I've told Kevin to do is to say bubble, bubble, breathe. Bubble, bubble, breathe. So when he swims in future, he can actually blow out as he's going along. He's actually got to physically say bubble. If you physically say bubble, you've got to blow out underneath the water. He's not doing it at the moment, just to clarify that, and he's still doing the explosive breathing, which means he'll get tired very, very quickly. So we continue to look at Kev, last couple of lengths, and you can really see that his hands go into the water, and you can see that there's a catch, there's a real catch, particularly with that left hand. He's really focused on that left arm, and you can see that it's starting to come together.